need some help on this. You know, you talk about if you're falling out of the airplane, just hold on, it will be over. I've been falling out of the airplane for 5 months. Okay, so obviously I was very high when I started falling down.
Analogies are never perfect, are they?
They're not. Beginning of this year, I got out of a relationship that was very toxic. It wasn't the first time I had gotten out of it, but I was determined to stay out of it. And I had noticed that when I would get out of the relationship, what would happen would my business would do extremely well, beyond extremely well. I wasn't in the vortex. I was very sad, but I was riding a wave of the vortex, and money was falling out of heaven. And I decided to stay out of the relationship. And to do that, I decided I was going to do something for myself. And so I decided to buy a house. And it's been a while since I'd owned a house, and I wanted this house, and it was a nice house. But I could afford it because I was doing really, really well. And then I bought the house, and then it stopped. And for 5 months now, it's just stopped. And every day, I know what to do. And I know to meditate. And I know to get into the place of receiving.
Well, from the experiences that you've been having, when you get out of a relationship, we were going to say to you, rather than getting out of something, go to something. But if I'm not going that way, I'm going that way. And so it seems like the same thing. But when you're leaving something, often you don't really leave vibrationally. You move your body, but your vibration stays the same. And then, if you're like most people, you justify leaving by explaining to yourself and others how toxic it was, and therefore how important it was that you do leave, which means you didn't really leave vibrationally. And so, as you are not experiencing the immediate tripping points that sometimes happen in a relationship where you're butting heads and not getting along and arguing over this and that and the other, there was some measurable relief from just being away from that day-to-day grind. But still, your vibrational frequency had not changed that much. As you're describing, you still felt sad. And so we just want to say that you can get anywhere you want to be from wherever you are. But it is helpful to know that what you're describing here is the momentum that was already underway. By walking away from that relationship, you didn't really change the trajectory of the momentum. In fact, you added to it. Now, the dollars that were flowing into your experience, they had a momentum of their own that subsequently began to reflect the vibration that you were feeling about other things. It's possible that you can compartmentalize really well so that one aspect of your life can continue to do well while another important aspect of your life is not doing so well. But for the most part, for most people, how you feel about something is sort of overshadowing everything that you've got going on. And so your whole point of attraction is one of not letting yourself receive the benefit. The thing that we really want you to hear, all of you, let's see if we can find a really good starting place, because you're right on the brink of really getting something important. Here it is. We're talking about law of attraction, and that what you're emitting is what you get back. So that is something important to think about in terms of what's unfolding in your life. I'm creating my own reality through the thoughts that I'm thinking. All right, that's a subject that we've been talking about together for a long, long time. You all get that. You've heard it. You conceptually understand it. It makes sense to you. Today, we want you to hear it in a more refined way. We want you to hear us say, you got to get into the receptive mode in order to receive the impulses and follow the impulses that will take you in directions that will serve you. It's one thing for law of attraction to be having its way with you. It's another thing for you to be clearly hearing your inner being giving you guidance about where's the best place for you to be, so that you can receive through law of attraction the things that you are wanting. Can you hear that refinement or that distinction? It's quite nice to say, law of attraction is responding to me. And it's also helpful to say, I'm getting what I feel, and it's always a vibrational match. What I'm thinking and feeling and what's manifesting always match. That's sort of telling it like it is, but it's something more empowering to say, even with everything going on, I have the ability to quiet my mind and therefore stop the momentum in its tracks and get into the receiving mode where I get better ideas from here on out. Because if you don't know what you don't want, you don't really know what you do want. This is the way you get this handle on this. We've been saying things to you like, you got to tell a different story, and certainly that's what we would recommend here. But really, even more important than telling a different story is to just stop telling the story you're telling. And you're not just telling the story with your mouth and your words, you're telling the story with your vibration, with your heart, with your emotions. You're telling the story with your awareness of what is. So you've got to find some way of changing what you're focused upon. You've got to find some way of allowing a different awareness. And the awareness that we're asking you to make room for is the awareness of your inner being, who knows everything that's in the vortex and knows everything that you want and is willing and able and constantly guiding you, but you're not hearing it. And why aren't you hearing it? Because you're regurgitating the same old, the same old, the same old, the same old, the same old. You're not leaving room for the new. You're still hearing more of the jets flying over rather than tuning to the frequency that will serve you. Does that make sense to you?
I hear what you're saying. So for 5 months.
Now, that doesn't help.
Okay.
Because you can't do anything about that 5 months. There's no activity in the 5 months that's passed. It's all right here. Now, right here, as you talk about that failing 5 months or that whatever 5 months, now you're doing it now. And what you're doing now is not the receptive mode.
Okay.
So, do you acknowledge, does it make sense to you that through what you've lived and what you've focused into the vortex, that it is known by your inner being and by universal forces what you mean to experience?
Clearly.
And so if your inner being knows what you want and wants to guide you to it and is guiding you to it, then what's the holdup? I must not be hearing what my inner being is saying. And why would that be? Because I keep focusing on something that doesn't let me hear. I keep focusing on the 5 months, or I keep wanting to tell the story, or I keep wanting to find what I did wrong. Say again?
The fear.
Fear of?
The results that I've produced so far, where I'm at right now.
This is going to be really helpful to you. Do you fear the results that you've already got?
Yes.
Do you fear the results that you've already got, or do you fear what those results are going to come to?
Okay, so I fear the results that I'm headed toward.
Headed toward.
Yes.
And so this is what we want you to realize, is that you have control now. And the reason for the fear, it's saying, driving off the cliff. So just don't.
Right.
Do something about it. Okay, I'm willing to do something about it, Abraham. What do you suggest I do? Listen to your inner being. Oh, okay. I'll listen for my inner being, but what if I can't hear? Listen again. Well, what if I don't hear? Listen again. Well, what if I don't hear? Well, listen better. Well, what if I still don't hear? Well, listen with more deliberate intent. Let listening be the only thing you're doing. Listening for your inner being. Okay. How do I listen better? Well, you got to quiet your mind from all the chaos that's already going on. So you got to give yourself the best possibility of hearing. Well, when would that be? First thing in the morning, before your head's full of all those thoughts. Okay, I'll listen first thing in the morning before I have all those thoughts going. And what do I listen for? The sound in the air conditioner, or the sound of your own breath in and out. That's how I hear my inner being. Well, it's how you stop hearing other things. It's how you focus so that the other chatter doesn't dominate. That's all you got to do. You're wanting the dominant chatter that isn't helping to be replaced by a vibration that can help. So again, do you believe that your inner being exists?
Yes.
Do you believe that your inner being knows what you want?
Absolutely.
Do you believe that your inner being knows your path of least resistance to get it?
Yes.
Do you believe that your inner being is telling you?
Yes.
So everything's in place except you're not hearing. So these are the things that you want to do so that you can hear. Stop thinking so many other thoughts, and stop thinking so much about what happened, and stop trying to justify where you are by explaining it all. First thing you want to say is, 5 months, you want to explain it. You don't need to explain it because nobody's saying to you, where have you been? One time, Jerry and Esther were in Orlando, and they had a new navigational system. Esther was really enjoying it because it was guiding her from place to place. And so they got on the freeway in Orlando. Esther's driving right along. She's happily going. And Jerry has this silly grin that he gets on his face. And he said, you know, you're going in exactly the wrong direction. And Esther felt defensive. No, that can't be. I did exactly what the navigational system told me to do. And Jerry said, well, I don't know if you did what she told you to do. I don't know anything about that. I just know you're going in the opposite direction of how you mean to go. And so Esther acknowledged that they were going in the wrong direction. And so she took the exit, and she was exiting. She said, I've got a really good idea. Let's go back to where we were. Let's go back to where we started, because it was only about 5 miles back. Let's go back to where we started. I'll program it again, and you watch with me, and we'll see where it went wrong. And Jerry said, or we could just start going right from where we are. And so, as you stand here in this place that isn't really where you want to be, and you're sort of worried about the direction, just stand still for a little bit. Don't go flailing about, and don't try to figure out what you did wrong, and don't try to figure out where it went wrong. Just say the things you know. My inner being knows what I want. The life that I've lived has put it in my vortex. There is a very real reality, a vibrational reality that knows what I want. And guidance is being offered to me about that. And all I got to do is listen and listen and listen. So I've decided that every day I'm going to set aside 15 or 20 minutes, and I'm going to quiet my mind of the other stuff so that I have a better probability of hearing the new impulse. And don't expect the new impulse to give you the whole route all at once. That was another thing that Esther would ask of Jerry. She'd say, before they had navigational guidance, she would say, now tell me where I'm going. And so Jerry has the map, and he'd say, well, you're going to go here and here, and then you're going to take this road, 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 and then you're going to take this road. And then Esther would say, well, just tell me what I'm going to do next. And it became a very funny thing with them, because Esther would always ask for the whole route, and Jerry would always know she wouldn't be able to remember more than about the first turn. And so he started getting a little stubborn about it. You really think that I should waste all of these words giving you all of this information that you're not going to hold, or should I just give it to you when you're ready for it? Well, that's what your inner being is doing. Your inner being is giving it to you as you are ready for it. And it's fast enough, and it's good enough, and it's enough, and what you're hearing is enough. Sometimes you get an impulse about something that, if you stop and think about it, doesn't even seem all that specifically related to what you think you want, but it is.
Okay. I think I understand. It's basically just let go, stop. Take time to listen.